inform our generosity because it's Thanksgiving, kind of this season where we begin thankfulness, and we get right up to that point where we're super thankful. We got everyone, even the people we don't like in our family, around a table together, and we're so thankful for them. And then we go out and we try to knock everyone down as we get a TV for half off, right? Right over. Does anyone participate in Black Friday? Yeah, like I got a couple of them. It's every year I say, I'm not going to get out there. And then we get over there, and my mom and my sister are like, let's go out there. It's super fun. And I will say this. We never end up buying really anything. Like we just go out there to be in it. And it's not as crazy as it used to be, but it's like we went to Kohl's last year over in Brandon, and the line for stuff in Kohl's, you guys are all familiar with Kohl's, right? It went from all the checkouts and then went around, and it was all the way around the store and then back at the beginning. And we had gotten like $30 worth of stuff. We're like, oh, this is kind of a good deal for a couple shirts. And we're like, all right, where's the line? And we're like, oh, it goes all the way around the store? Like that. And we left. And that's like it's bonkers the amount of people out there. There's energy to it. But I do think it's funny that Black Friday, the day when retail stores get to go from red to black, that's why it's called Black Friday, is like right after the day that we're all so thankful. It's actually on that day now. But that's just my commentary on culture. But we're talking about generosity and thankfulness and what that looks like. And I think there's an old Indian parable that kind of has to do with this. And it's about a lion and a mouse. Perhaps you've heard of it before, but there was this mouse, right? There's this mouse, and he was mousing all about, and life was pretty good. And then suddenly the mouse got terrified when he saw the cat, right? He saw the cat there. He's like, oh no, like what is this? I can't do this. The cat takes out a couple of his friends. He's like, oh great. And so he finds this great, powerful magician kind of up on the top of a mountain or something like that. And he's like, magician, I'm terrified. You got to make me into a cat. And the magician's like, oh, okay. And he's a cat. And he's strutting around like cats do, sleeking around, all that stuff, and things are great. And then all of a sudden he hears like a heavy panting and a running sound towards him. And he looks behind him, and there's this mean, nasty, ferocious dog, right? And it chases after him, chases through the alleys, and all that stuff, and he runs right back to the magician. He's like, I can't be a cat anymore. I've got to be a dog, right? Maybe you guys are seeing where this is going. And he's like, and he's the best dog in the world, right? He's walking around all tough. Just people give him treats for no reason. He gets pets from people. Things are great as he's the dog, right? And then he kind of goes away from the town for a little bit, chasing after a cat. And he sees the lion. And terror fills him again. And he runs back to the magician. He's like, you need to make me into a lion. And he becomes a lion. Nothing's better than a lion, right? And he knows it. And he's walking around like he's king of the jungle, because he is. Until a Jeep stops or a Land Rover stops, right? And out hop a bunch of guys from Denver, with long sticks that make loud noises. And he runs back to the magician, and he's like, I'm terrified. You gotta make me into the hunter. And the magician's like, listen, I gotta put an end to this. Like, you were a mouse, and I made you a lion. You have the body of a lion. I'm gonna change you back to a mouse. Because even though you still have the body of a lion, you still have the heart of a mouse. Does that sound familiar at all? I love that. I could just say that and allow you, there'd be like 5 different meanings to that story. And you guys all walk home and are like, oh. And it was less than a minute. That's good. That's good. But I think we all have that because we want the body of a lion, right? We want to be the lion. But we have the heart of a mouse. And our mouse-like fears overtake us when it comes to life. And we want more and more and more and more. Always wanting the next best thing so we can build ourselves up. Because on the outside, we want to be bigger, stronger, more confident. You know, we like to show off how big and lion-like like we are, right? At least in my generation, you know, we flash our perfect Facebook profiles, our perfectly behaved children, our busy schedule which says that we're important, our iPhone 10 or X for the layman that costs over $1,000, which I have a brand new competitor in my pocket right now, which wasn't far off from that. And with that phone, we scan our Starbucks app at Starbucks so we can pay our $6.50 frozen coffee. You know, that's my generation, but every generation suffers with this. On the outside, we love to pump ourselves up and make ourselves bigger and appear more powerful and more important. We love to give off this aroma of coolness and in-controlness, that we act like we've got it all figured out. But this wanting to be certain, this confidence that we want, we even follow people that appear to have it all figured out. We love people that it's like, oh man, this guy's just, or girl is just saying what needs to be said, right? We love following after them. We want to have the heart of a lion, but in reality, we have the heart of a mouse. And the truth is that we want to be the lion, but we need to be who we were created to be, who God made us to be at the beginning. We were created to be stewards of God's creation in relationship with Him. We've forgotten who we are. We wanted to be lions, dictators, and kings over the creation, but we weren't created to be lions. We were created to be stewards of the creation. We're actually mice. It's a weird thing to say. The people in Malachi are dealing with almost the exact same thing. They have forgotten who they are, and they've forgotten who they were, and God reminds us of this in Malachi chapter 3 with verse 6. He says, therefore I do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, of Israel, and you know all that, are not consumed. And then he says, this is where they've forgotten. For the days of your fathers you have turned aside from my statutes and have not kept them. Don't you remember your parents, the people that came before you, your ancestors? Don't you remember that? You have turned away from there. You have forgotten who you are. And he says, all you have to do is turn to me and I'll turn back and I'll turn to you. But instead, they've forgotten who they are and they've been hoarding their resources rather than trusting in God. In fact, in Malachi it says that they are robbing God, which is a fascinating idea. It says, will man rob God? Yet you are robbing me. And they're like, how are we robbing you? In your tithes and contributions. You see, they're holding back all the good things for themselves. The Bible says they're robbing God there. And what was going on is at that time, they were giving, in their sacrifices to the temple, they were giving like sick birds, right? Not like cool birds, like sick birds. And lambs that were not perfect, lambs that were small, maybe lambs that were hurt, lambs that were maybe missing a leg, ones that you wouldn't really want to serve. They're giving to God. One of the issues we have in the country right now is that we love to eat like lions, right? And so, there's this issue of perfect fruits and vegetables. And there's all these imperfect vegetables and fruits that won't buy. Because if you have a banana that shoots off into two different ones or something like that, you're like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to eat that, right? But that's what they were giving to God. They were giving the stuff that they wouldn't even buy. And they're like, well, God will take this. And it says, you're robbing God. Even though they were mice, they were trying to be lions by eating like lions, by controlling everything like lions. They were holding back, trying to build themselves up. But they were forgetting who they were. And I struggle with this too. Where rather than trusting God, I try to build myself up by accumulating more and more things, by getting more and more power and influence. So what do? How do we deal with this problem of wanting to be lions? How do we deal with this? How do we deal with this obsession with having more and more stuff? With trying to build ourselves up more and more? I think we need to remember who we are. And I think we'll find freedom in who we are. Where we're not trying to be something that we were never intended to be in the beginning. We need to stop being the lion. We were created by God with a special purpose in what we are to do. And God has given you everything you need to take care of the creation. To be stewards of the creation. To take care of it. Remember, He put Adam and Eve in the garden to care for it, to love it. It actually says to rule it. But that gets kind of weird with king and dictator language and all that stuff. But it's ruling in the sense of being a steward of it. That God has given us what we are to be stewards of. So I think we can actually deal with this problem when we stop pretending to be what we're not. Stop pretending to be the lion. Or to use Genesis 3 language, stop pretending to be God. Because that's our problem. That's at least the problem in Genesis 3 is they wanted to be like God. They wanted to define what good and evil was for themselves. They wanted to do that. And that's God's job. Quit lusting after being the lion and find your center, find your certainty in that God is the true lion. You know, when we look at Revelation chapter 5, we see a different picture here. And it says, "And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming with a loud voice, 'Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals?'" There's no one is found worthy, no one is found acceptable to open up this news. No one is found worthy, and no one in heaven or earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. And I began to weep bitterly, loudly, because no one was found worthy to open up that scroll or to look into it. And then, one of the elders came up to me and said, "Weep no more, because behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has conquered, so that He can open its scroll and its 7 seals." Jesus is the Lion. He is God, and He's in control of all of this, and He's worthy. He's worthy, and He loves you so much. He's given you all the certainty and all of His heavenly inheritance. And His Spirit has come onto all of you, and it's roaring inside of you, bringing you to the resurrection, the new creation that is found in Jesus, the true Lion of the tribe of Judah. So we don't need to try to be that lion anymore. It's just us trying to be God. It's just us trying to be dictators and kings of our own existence, us trying to control everything to the last final detail. And I think we can find freedom when we're like, all right, God, this is for you. This is for you. Just make me into a steward, into what you have given me. And we see in Malachi, they're asking, like, how do we deal with this? How do we do this? And he says in Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, he says, bring the full tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. You don't need to be the lion and provide. God has done it. So approach the storehouse, live sacrificially. Bless others. Be confident God will give you all that you need. And he even says, put me to the test on this. Live confidently in him, giving thanks that you have enough. Live confidently in Jesus and put this to test. Start each month off with I'm going to give this amount. I don't know what that is. It doesn't even have to be to the church. It can be to somewhere else. But trusting that God is going to take care of all your needs. And rather than just compounding your schedule and just filling it up so that you can have this appearance of busyness, stop, slow down. Let dinner take an hour. You know? It doesn't have to just be fuel for your body. It could be that good conversation that fills your soul. Go volunteer for something. Open up time where you're not just after it for yourself. See what God can do when you start stewarding the life and the resources that he has given you. And rather than spending all your money on some Christmas gifts this year, see if you can give some of it away. Find a cool charity that's doing really interesting work, that's helping people a lot. And give it to them. Sure, your grandkids might be upset at you, but let them be upset with you that. And it's good. And here at the end, he says, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour down for you a blessing until there is no more in need. This is a terrible translation of this. I think we get the idea, but it's just so neutered and all that so that it makes sense when we read it. There's all this imagery going on. Open the windows of heaven. What's going on there is they used to think that the earth is flat, right? And that there was this firmament above it, and they believed that windows would open up and rain would come down through them, all right? That's what they believed rain was, that it was pulling over there. And it says here, so open the windows of heaven, let it rain down, but then that pour down is not like rain. It's like a waterfall. And so he's saying, give it away. Test me on this, and you will receive blessings. Now, blessings here doesn't mean that we're all going to be driving Corvettes. It's just not what it means. Doesn't mean that we're all going to be blessed in that way. But I think what it actually means is that the blessings there, that our insides will stop wanting to be the lion. The blessing is that we'll stop wanting to be the gods in our own lives. That we will see that we have worth and dignity in who we actually are and who God made us to be. So does that mean that our knees might wake up and they hurt in the morning? Yeah. But God hasn't forgotten you. Does that mean that your back might hurt? Yeah. Does that mean you still have to make a payment on your car? Yeah. Or your house? But it also means that God hasn't forgotten you. And you can remember that no matter how dire life seems to get, that God will always be with you, and He'll make sure that you are taken care of and that you will be fine. That's what we see when Jesus is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, is that He is the one worthy to open up those seals. So, to close all this up, Remember who you are, and remember who God is. He's the lion that has rescued all of his creation. And we are headed for his resurrection. So approach him and the world around you with confidence, not in a self-made confidence, but a confidence that he is worthy to save the entire world. That he has given you everything so that we can open up our hands to those around us and the world. That we can open up our hand and to God's creation. That we know that God, through us, through his stewards, will cause it to flourish with life of the risen Lord. And I think when you boil down Malachi, that is the message that he's wanting to give. Remember who you are, how God saved you out of the hand of the Egyptians, how God called you from a man who was called Great Father who had no kids, how a God saved you through a virgin born, how God has saved you even when your family was completely dysfunctional, and how God saves you even when your life seems all messed up. That he is always there bringing you to him. And that's really good news.